Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines videos. In this one I'm going to continue building up the city in which I plan to reach 1 million population on the hard mode. In the previous episode I told you I would spend some time redoing some of these zones, and so I did. I spent about 2 hours I think just redoing some of these zones, switching the forestry industry for generic, getting some more high density commercial buildings, removing some zones that weren't particularly well made, rebalancing some of the other zones. Up here I had expanded a little bit more just to try and see what would be a good balance. The buildings do keep saying not enough workers because even though I continuously have around 2 to 3% unemployment, I always end up with a worker shortage, and I have right now almost 5,000 jobs, 4,500 jobs that are not filled, that are available for my teams. Now, one of the things that I was doing in the previous episodes a lot was trying to get these roads below already made raised roads, highways in this case. One of the things that I did myself and didn't even notice how that worked until one of my subscribers told me to pay more attention to it, is when you want to get a road to go underneath a highway, for example, a raised highway, and you get a pillar in your way. What you can do is place a road onto the highway, and if you want to move this pillar out of the way, you click here and click like this, and you see what happens. In order for a road to be drawn off a highway, it has to be created on a pillar. So if you click on the right or the left side of the previously existing pillar, it's going to move that pillar. Then you can make a road underneath, and then you can delete this area here and it will leave the pillar where it found it. So it's a nifty little trick that will make it simpler and not to have to bulldoze these things and remake them continuously. So once again, I thank my subscribers for giving me sound advice, which I then pass on to you in these videos. In the previous video, I was still having a lot of forestry industry here, and I still do. Some of it I am switching right now for more high density commercial buildings, as the previously built tile, the first tile, does not have that much commercial inside of these residential zones. Another thing that I noticed was that I was not using both of the business benefactor policy, even though I have mixed both small and large businesses. I mean low density and high density commercial areas in commercial zones in this district. So what I need to do is turn on big business and small business benefactor in this big district here. This district is comprised of offices, low density and high density commercial, so also it needs to have the big business benefactor taxation increase for offices. Now I have stopped actually using tax rates for offices in every single district because it was much simpler to just simply raise the taxes for offices by 2% globally for the entire city. I have plenty of water and still plenty of power. The power does sometimes go up and down because the incinerators aren't always producing 12 megawatts, so they are kind of a roller coaster. When it comes to the pollution, it should stay isolated behind the commercial buildings and the offices on the edges here next to the highway, while there shouldn't be any pollution seeping out to the residential areas. As for the noise pollution, that's a whole different problem, because I did place some high density commercial areas inside of these residential areas, and they do produce medium level of sound pollution, if you are going to say that the industry produces a high level of sound pollution. Now, as these things burn down or get abandoned, I will be dezoning them because I want to switch them over to actually being these generic industry areas. Over here I already zoned for more, and these areas here that are empty at the moment I will switch on for high density commercial areas. There is kind of a huge amount of demand for for commercial buildings. I'm not sure just how much do Sims really need commercial areas? I have never seen Sims say, you know what, I cannot find goods to buy in your city. But then again, I am exporting a lot of goods and I would rather have them spent inside the city instead of exported and then trucks having to go through my city to export that. It would be kind of easier. And another funny thing is that I'm importing now forestry goods even though I'm already exporting a good amount of those. I'm not entirely sure why that is so. Perhaps it's not the same type, because if you look here, none of these buildings here say that they are green and that they are exporting. So even though I do have this slice of pie here showing me that I'm exporting forestry goods, none of these forestry buildings here are actually green. So it's kind of interesting to see, and it can make sense that the high level generic industry is actually importing when none of these buildings seem to be actually exporting the type of goods that the industry needs when it comes to the forestry. Up here, I still have problems with these buildings getting abandoned because I don't have enough workers. Not only do I don't have enough workers for their level, as they are mostly level 1s and then they require uneducated workers, even the leveled up sometimes go abandoned because in general I do not have enough workers. But the residential demand is kind of low. It's always low. I haven't seen it say medium demand in I don't even know how long. This one was abandoned due to probably low land value or not enough services. Not entirely sure why. Is it just that one? So if I want to have more workers, I can start getting rid of the high density commercial areas that are inside of these zones, because they are, like I said, producing a lot of noise pollution, and I didn't really think about that when I was building them. And I would like to switch them for the offices where they are too close to the residential areas, while where they're intertwined with the residential areas, like in these neighborhoods here, I would switch them for more residential areas. Like this. Same over here. And where did I have a few more? Over here, I think. Same thing if I did it on this side. Yeah, there are some commercial areas here. These I will get rid of and use offices in their stead. Well, over here I can add some more commercial areas. This is heavily polluted, but they do not seem to mind when it comes to the high density commercial areas. Maybe they will level up a little bit less, but then again they won't go abandoned because of the pollution. So that's okay when you look at it from that side. Same thing over here. In order to keep the sound pollution, I will switch the low density commercial areas for the offices, while on the other side I will have the high density commercial areas. Over here I already have a very long line of high density commercials, and here I will continue that. Now let's see if I can get more residential zones up here. I've gotten this zone here to be commercial zones, so the next one after that would be offices to keep the pollution away, the noise pollution and the ground pollution from the industrial area. And then after that can come a new residential zone. So this will be a new residential area, and because I did have some demand, it should go up. An additional thing that I did here was to use the big services. I had used, let me show you here, a police station, where it is. I had used a small police station before, but I think I need to switch over to a police headquarters. because the small police station does not seem to provide enough service to the high density buildings, and they do say that they're not covered by enough services, and it seems that small police stations, firehouses and similar buildings just do not provide the high enough coverage. I mean, the color seems to be the same, but the strength of the coverage just doesn't seem to cut it, so you need these more advanced service buildings. I think I already got a fire station, and I left the firehouse because the fire station, as you know from these parts of the city, does not have that huge coverage of a police headquarters. As for the clinics, I had one here and I added one here. I still refuse to buy the hospital because it's so goddamn more expensive. I mean, 500 compared to 3,000. I mean, if it were 2,000, 2,200, I would be kinda okay with it, but 3,000 per week compared to the medical clinic, I just cannot. I just can't go on with that. That's just unbalanced. I had added another elementary school here, and a high school is already here, and I have more than enough capacity for the university. And as the Sims do like to move around, they can go to a new university wherever they want. I had added also 2 more metro stations, because these buildings do always end up requiring more services in order to level up. Let's see, what do they say now? Covered by more services. As always, covered by more and more services. All is well. That probably means that you have to remove the pop-up, for example, here, and the problem is the lack of workers. These zones, yeah, they look like this because, like I said, this is a hilly and a valley area, and destroys the zones when I use these streets as cross streets to these areas. Let's see here, the offices are slowly building up, and so are the residential buildings, so that's okay. I might as well speed up the game. I'm good with power, water and sewage, plenty of capacity. I did upgrade it a little bit while I was playing with this city and make sure all the zones worked. As for the public transportation, even though I did implement that they have to pay for their tickets, and now I'm earning 18,700 for the tickets, almost paying off the entire public transportation system. Not a lesser amount of them use it, but a higher amount. I have 3,000 people using the buses and 6,500 using the metro. Now, I did forget to make a new bus line that would connect this new area of the city with the old, and that is something that I will fix right now. I won't make too many stations here, just a few, and then connect them to the old area. So we'll go somewhere about here. The street should be the two-way one, so I can actually make stations. You cannot actually make stations on highway ramps, which of course makes sense. So if I'm using the highway ramps as these streets, as cross streets in these zones, I cannot use them for bus stops. But I can use these up here because those are a street, and I should have started up there. Actually, I should have started here, then gone down. Okay, that's the wrong side of the street, that's the right side of the street, and then go into this part of the city to connect the bus networks to the other parts. And let's say they go up to here. And then it can come back to where I started it over here. I will switch its color so that I can tell that this one goes through multiple parts of the city. I will make it a green color. Alright, so more industry going abandoned until they level up and start using workers of a higher level of education, they'll keep going abandoned. How's my unemployment? Of course, still at 3%. It's something of a magical number, seems. I only had 2% for a second or two. Jobs available around 3,500 or so, higher than the workers that I have, but still the demand for residential is very low. It is one of the things that really bother me. Why would the demand be so low if there are so many open jobs? The happiness is pretty high at 90%. There are no major problems in the city, so why don't I have more demand for residential? I showed you in some of the previous episodes that there is a mod that will fill up these homes up to their maximum capacity, but the problem is I have already spent so much time trying to balance out these zones, the residential zones compared to the industry and commercial zones. If I were to use that mod now, it would throw off the entire balance, so I can only use that mod, for example, in a new city and not in this one, which I've already zoned out and mapped out which zones should go. As for this part of the city, I need to see where else do I build more stuff. Now let's see, yeah, I need to get rid of this pillar, but I don't think I can use the same trick that I showed you in the beginning of the episode, or perhaps I can. Let's try this out. Nah, it just creates a new pillar. So no, that's not gonna work out. We'll have to either stop going down with this street or go around this, but then again I cannot zone, so it's not really important. I can just connect it from here to here and hopefully go a bit more down. Let's try it. There we go. And this can be finished as a residential zone. Now I actually should have used something else. Yeah, the highway ramps and not the two-way street, because I already had one over here. I'm trying to reduce the amount of traffic that goes through here. If this one goes from left to right, this one would go from right to left. Not only does this reduce the amount of traffic going through these areas, it also makes these zones always go to these streets where I want them to be zoned, and I don't have to leave an empty spot like here that I have to leave, so that they would not build up onto these streets, but onto these where I want them to have exits and entrances. Alright, and over here the same thing, from the right to the left. Oh, I will just go from left to right and then switch it when I get there. There we go. There's no connecting it through here because I don't want traffic to go through here. It's already used for the cargo train terminal. There is an additional thing that I wanted to show you with the cargo train terminal, and I will in just a moment, as soon as I finish these zones up and bulldoze again the level 1 industry, which keeps going abandoned. For some reason it won't level up any further. This did, but the rest seem to refuse. And just one additional thingy to do, and a park here and a park about here. So what I wanted to show you about the train station is that currently I am using a one-way two-lane street which has a maximum speed of 40, and you can notice here that they pretty much use just one lane of the two lanes of this one-way. So why not switch it to something that is actually a one lane and has double the speed? the only trouble is I think the metro stop would get destroyed if I were to do this. I think it needs an actual connection to an actual street and not a ramp. Can I move this? It would be going on to here. That's okay, I think. It's gonna ruin better this, maybe better to put it on this one than over here. No, I do not wish to destroy the structure, I wish to move it. There. Okay, and to bring back its connection here and here, and I'll have to bring back its stops as well. What line did I have going through here? The red line, which creates path through where? Through here. And what other line did I have going through here? A yellow line maybe? Yeah. Okay, so now that I moved this, I can bulldoze. Ah, now the park has to be moved. Let's see, instead of what? Instead of this office up here. And I think this is cleared out now. Now the trick is that the cargo train station, which needed a normal street to be built on, can actually operate on a ramp after you have actually built it. So at least in theory, I believe that that will work, and it shouldn't get destroyed or anything. This needs to go a bit nicer through here. So through here, and I need to turn off snapping, and now it enters here. So let's watch how it happens. You can see that the trucks can now move at a much higher speed because this is a ramp and not a street. You can see how much they slow down when they hit this intersection compared to how fast they move through here. So this can pretty much speed up the process, and the building will not have any problems being connected to a highway ramp. I can do this on any number of these buildings that I notice that have a large amount of traffic going through them. Whoops, there is a park here, but this thing seems to be operational even though it's on a highway, but no reason to leave it there. It should go in its proper place on a road. I think I've actually increased the amount of traffic because of the industry, now that I have to import so many raw goods for the generic industry. But they do require those educated workers, which I have plenty of now. 44% well-educated, 30% highly educated, 20%, 19% educated, and just 7% uneducated. As for the jobs, 45,000 out of 47,000, 47,500 are filled, so better than it used to be. What exactly happened here with these zones? Interesting. It should be fine like that. These streets, the highway ramps, they do not have trees on them, so they are not going to reduce the noise pollution like these will. Where are they? They're here. So these do actually reduce the amount of sound pollution because they have trees on them, while the ramps will not reduce the sound pollution, but they will reduce the total amount of cars going through them because they are just one lanes. Again, interesting balance that has to be struck. Although there's a huge amount of noise pollution here, I will need to start using the 4x4 offices, because 2x2 offices are not big enough to keep away the noise pollution from the residential areas. Another lesson learned. Alright, this area is upgrading nicely. How about the area down here? The commercial buildings. I think I could zone 2 tiles just of commercial, and they would just fill those tiles. It's incredible how much commercial demand there is. Just amazing how much demand for commercial buildings there is. I'm starting to think I might as well use these roads here for the commercial buildings, and this for the offices. And then these areas would be high density residential. Over here next to the road I could try doing the same thing, but I think there will be plenty of high density commercial areas in here instead of the forestry industry. So how about that generic industry? Did it build up? Actually cannot build up until I rezone it as a district that builds up generic industry. Now it will be interesting to see, am I going to have generic industry building up here instead of the forestry. I haven't looked at the traffic during this episode. There's a lot here coming in this ramp. Now this ramp isn't really part of the original design. They should be entering through here and here. I had built this one some time ago, trying to fix the traffic flow that was here, trying to give these trucks another line in, but they do seem to be filling this street rather a lot, and they're creating a lot of traffic here, so I'm not sure should I actually make them use this one once again. We'll see what does that do to this part of the city and its traffic. This could actually even be a ramp as well to speed up their passage through here. They can turn into here, go through here. We'll see how that goes. The small issue is that the ones coming off the Caribbean terminal will hit the ones that are coming in from the ramp. So that is a smallish problem. I'll keep an eye on that. So how is the traffic in these areas? Looks alright to me. No problems that I can spot. It was definitely the best idea to get the roads going underneath the highway connecting the two parts of the city. It pretty much solved all the problems with the service vehicles going in between the parts of the city. And if you have been watching my videos for a long time, you know that about 10 episodes back I had a huge problem with service vehicles going from the old parts of the city to the new, and from the new to the old. Wow. I think this is the first time I looked at it really, and just the difference between this and this. It's amazing how differently this looks. Anyway, as I was saying, the difference between the traffic now and then is like huge, and it's much better flowing now. And I think my original design with the highways, now that it's been refined through like I don't know, 15 or 20 hours of gameplay, looks and feels much better and makes the traffic flow much better. And I think that is kind of the solution. As I always said in some of the previous city builders, you just need more road surface area. You do not need better roads, you just need more surface area to place your traffic on. And I think that was always the problem with a lot of people's cities, because they just didn't give their cities enough road surface area. And just remembered, I forgot to make this as a district. The commercial and the offices that are in here need to have their own district, which then uses the big business planning, while this district here has to be residential, so I can use the pet ban and the recycling in order to get them to produce less garbage. Oops, not the smoking ban, the pet ban. Another thing I just remembered, I had used a lot more of the policies for parks and recreation in my residential areas, trying to increase their land value and that way to increase the level. It kinda didn't actually help. Most of the areas which wanted to go up a level, even before I implemented that policy, went up a level. The ones that keep refusing to level up keep saying low land value. The problem is that if I were to use the policy for high-tech housing, I would actually lose more money than I would earn by having to pay an upkeep for every residential buildings to increase the land value. So I'm not sure that I want to use that. I don't think I've used that policy here for parks and recreation, and that's not a bad idea. That one can outset, the cost can be outset by the increase in the taxes from the leveling up buildings, but the one for high-tech housing simply does not manage, at least in my city, to outweigh its cost when they level up to gain me more taxes. What else can I switch here? More forestry for more commercial areas. What's this? Low? No, it's high. And how's the generic industry? Did it build up here? Yeah, finally it did. How about more in here and in here? Hopefully that will build up. Up here I think I pretty much reached the end how much of residential I want, and I can't really get demand, so that would be it for that area. And I should increase the water coverage if I want to expand further down here. In here I could have also used the ramps to increase the speed of the traffic going to the cargo rail terminal. Cargo train terminal, sorry. There we go, that is functioning nicely. Alright, so I think this would be enough for this video. I think I've finally gotten more population than in any of the previous videos, and the new part of the city was the one that was responsible. Thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for more.